Welcome back. We are coming to you live from the National Results Operations Center here in Midrand, Johannesburg, where the results of yesterday's election have been trickling in. Much data to actually crunch through, and of course, there are people who are working tirelessly to get through the data that is coming in and has been coming in over the past few hours. With me now is Karike Karsten. She is a senior engineer at the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, Zahid.
All right. So in the last election, which was in 2019, just to maybe give some context, I was sitting at home in my living room, listening to the radio, and that was how I was following the election. I was 15 at the time, and all I could hear when they were talking about these results as they trickled in was the CSIR, CSIR, CSIR. And then I would hear these scientists coming in and talking about these big numbers and how this might play out and how this is going this way and that way. But now here you are, and you're here to do that with us this afternoon. Perhaps just some introduction and information about the CSIR and what it is that you do here at the Results Center.
Yeah, so the CSIR for the past 8 elections have been working with the SABC to communicate these predictions that we do once the results come in, and then we communicate that to the public.
So, between the results that show up on the leaderboard and the results that are then communicated to the public, what's your role there? What are you doing with the information as it comes in?
So the results come in for the different voting districts, and so there's a specific percentage that is allocated to each party based on the results as they have it now. But we then go further, and for all the voting districts that haven't been declared yet, then we predict what those will be based on the trends that we see in the current data that is available.
As we stand, around 22% of the votes have been counted.
Yeah.
That works out to roughly around 2.5 million votes that were cast yesterday. What are some of the trends that you're noticing? Anything in particular that stands out to you as we move along?
So trends on the national one, I think the major thing is that it seems like ANC is losing its majority. So based on the prediction, currently we have it at 41.8%. That's then with the error margin of plus or minus 2 percentage points. And then for the DA, we have it at 21%, also with that same error margin. EFF is climbing, according to our predictions, to around 9%, where currently it's still under 9% from what you see the actual results. And then MK that we predict around 13-14%. But with that one, there's a bigger margin of error because it's a new party, and especially since the voting districts that have been declared in KZN is not eThekwini, and we still expect some changes there that might affect the overall percentage.
Speaking of those changes, what exactly are the variables that we're looking at and we should take into account when we're looking at the information as it comes through?
So we do a post-analysis and see how rural versus urban trends differ. So we will do that again after the elections to, once all the results are in, see the different trends and see if there's a significant impact in, let's say now, MK or ANC in rural versus in urban areas.
Yeah. Now, when we look at the data that has come in so far, as I said, it was just under a quarter of the votes that have been counted. How reliable is the information that we got at hand right now to perhaps make a final prediction? Because I know this morning there were a number of news outlets, and I'm not going to mention names, but they were making projections based off of the first results, the initial results that were just coming in. But very quickly, things changed, and those initial projections were not exactly accurate and you could say debunked.
So our model on a national level prediction, when we get around 5% of voting districts declared, that's when we feel comfortable releasing the results. And um, there's still some fluctuation, but very minimal fluctuation in the changes, because as more voting districts get declared, then the model updates again, but it's minor fluctuations. And then it's always that 2% margin of error. And then, yeah, with newer parties, that can be a bit bigger than.
Okay, and just finally, are you able to perhaps make any projections at this stage?
Yeah, so we do have projections for the parties. So ANC is at 42% more or less that we projected. DA around 21%. EFF we predict around 9%. And then, yeah, the smaller parties, it's more difficult to predict, because if you have 1 or 2% and you have that 1 or 2% plus minus, then yeah.
And that's the picture nationally.
Yeah, that's the
Anything
national.
provincially at the moment?
Yeah, so provincially we can look at a few different regions. Yeah, so in the Eastern Cape, we see that, or we predict, but also from the results that we see, but ANC we predict at around 63%, so still having that majority there. Whereas, yeah, I think in the Western Cape, then yeah, we're looking at 53% for the DA. So very close to that margin of will they have majority, won't they have majority? Yeah. But,
And I think that majority figure is what everyone's looking at right now,
Yeah.
because a lot has been shaken up compared to the last election. We're seeing new players, new kids on the block. Things are looking quite different when you look at the leaderboard.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you're going to you're going to have many more hours that you're going to be spending on these data points and information that's coming at you. But all the best with that. Thank you so much for
Thank you
your time.
very much. Thanks.
That was Karike, a senior engineer at the CSIR, coming out with that organization's predictions for the 2024 general elections based off of the results that are trickling in at the National Results Operations Center at this stage. Stay tuned, we'll bring you some more coverage as it progresses.